Let's look at one of the more practical theories from organizational behavior, goal-setting theory. Basically, we're going to look at how we can be more efficient. How can we get more done? So, goal-setting theory is the result of a series of studies done by Locke and Latham, who've studied goal setting for major parts of their career. And the basic theory says that when people have specific, difficult goals, they perform better than when they don't have such goals, when they don't have specific, difficult goals. It's this idea that having these tough goals, they make us perform better. And the reason that we can say this is that empirical evidence, now empirical evidence means that we've collected data, we've measured things. We're not just saying, oh, based on my experience or what I've observed. We're saying, let's get lots of data, typically data from hundreds of people. Empirical evidence indicates that having a specific difficult goal or goals, they lead to better performance than easy goals. So difficult goals are better than easy goals as long as they're doable. It's better than no goals, and it's even better than the advice to do your best. So in these studies, they tell people, we want you to, let's take a physical example, screw on nuts to bolts, and we want you to get 200 done in a 10-minute period. That would people, if we give them a difficult, specific goal like that, they'll get more nuts screwed onto bolts than if you gave them an easy goal. Oh, we want you to get 10 of them screwed on in 10 minutes. Or no goals. Oh, here's some nuts and bolts. We'll come back in 10 minutes. Or do your best. Giving them that specific goal of 200, they'll perform better. Now that's interesting because we like telling people to do their best, because that's positive and encouraging, and there's no room for failure. No matter what happens, we can say, well, that was your best, you did it. But whereas we give a specific goal, like 200 nuts and bolts in a 10-minute period, we can tell if they failed or not. But that specific difficult goal is the goal that will lead to the highest number of bolts being screwed onto, or nuts being screwed onto bolts. Now, it's also interesting that empirical studies show that achieving difficult goals lead to greater job satisfaction. People who have tough goals to make, that are doable, that they have to work really hard to make, they like their work better because it's challenging. It's kind of like a video game. You want to keep on going up to a new level. You want to have a victory. If you're just told to do your best, you might not be too motivated to try. You might get bored. Also, and you might not have a whole lot of job satisfaction. So specific goals are necessary. Now this might have to do with the quality of work or the quantity of work to provide information about what needs to be done and if it's already been accomplished. So when I say screw 200 nuts onto 200 bolts in 10 minutes, it tells me what needs to be done. And then also by having a specific number, I can tell when I've done it. If I've done it in 9 minutes, I can quit and I can rest. If I'm told to do my best, I don't know what my best is. I can't tell if I've done it. Is it enough if I screw 10 on, or do I need to do 100? It's not clear. So that's why specific and difficult goals are important, is that they clarify what needs to be done and they're more satisfying. Now, psychologically, what do these goals do to us? What's happening inside of our head when we have these specific, difficult goals? They give us direction. We know where to focus our efforts and attention. For example, each morning I create a list of things to do, and generally my goal is to accomplish 10 things during the day. And so if I have this list of things to do, 10 goals to accomplish, it gives me direction. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. Secondly, it increases our effort. We're motivated to achieve them. It's kind of like a little game to try to get all of these 10 things done, because not every day am I able to do it, but I'll try harder at least till I get the first 10. After I get 10, I might start slacking off. It makes us more persistent. We'll spend more energy to achieve them. As long as I see that I haven't achieved my goals for the day, I'm going to keep working hard. I'm going to be persistent. I'm going to keep on going. Even if I have setbacks, I'm going to keep on going. And they motivate us to make an effective strategy to obtain them. If there's 11 things that I can do, but I know one is just going to suck up my time and it's not going to get me very much, I can prioritize the 10 that will allow me to achieve my goal. So it'll help me form a strategy to do what I should do. Now here's a little model showing how goals influence our behavior, our self-regulation, the way that we determine what we're going to do. We look at how well we are achieving a goal and make the necessary adjustments. Let's take an example. Let's start with a need. Suppose that you are in a kind of dead-end job and you are bored, you're not living up to your potential, you think you could be doing a lot more. So that might motivate you to improve yourself, to be able to get a better job. So that the needs lead to motives, and those motives are going to lead to goals. Now you could say, well, I'm going to read a business book that people recommend highly from Amazon sometime during the next year. You could do that. Or you might want to take a specific, more difficult goal. You might say, okay, I'm going to get a master's degree in organizational psychology. That would be a specific, difficult, challenging goals. And that will lead to performance. That will lead to some type of behavior. Now, goals have the characteristic in that they can be broken down into sub-goals. Getting a master's degree in psychology, you don't do that all in one step. You do it in a lot of different steps. So say one of your sub-goals is to take a class in organizational behavior. So you've got your needs. You want to get a better job. That's going to motivate you to take this class in organizational behavior. And your goal is, you're motivated to improve yourself. So you set a goal of taking this class in organizational behavior, and then you get information about your performance. You'll get grades in this class, maybe a grade on a paper, maybe a final grade. And that performance, there's this little feedback loop that will influence your motives. If you get a bad grade on something, a grade lower than what you were hoping to get, that might motivate you to work higher. Or if you get a grade that you do expect, you'll say, okay, I'm doing good. I don't need to put more effort into it. So the viewing our performance influences our motives, which will influence our goals. So if your performance isn't what you want it to be, you think, oh, that's not going to get me the type of education that I want, you might be motivated to do something to increase your performance. Maybe to spend more time reading the books or to start a paper earlier or something like that. You would set some goal and see how that influences performance. And we keep going in this feedback loop. We look at our performance. That motivates us to do something. We aim for a goal. We see what we ended up doing, and it keeps changes. It keeps it keeps on influencing what we're motivated to do. Now we say this is a systems model because the output becomes the input at a slightly later time. Their performance is a factor that increases our motivation or decreases our motivation. That's called a feedback loop, and that's a characteristic of a complex system. We don't just have these needs, then we've got motives, goals, and then we do something. Both the needs and how we're presently doing to achieve that goal influence our motivation, which will influence our goals and performance, and it'll keep on changing over time until we no longer have the need, until that need is met.